All right, so we calculated each of the probabilities that one of the first hard drive would go bad, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. We noticed that they added up to only 0.14, and that's just because the likelihood that it's going to be bad is only 3%, meaning that 97% of the time they're going to be good. So it's very likely that those first few are all going to be good, but only 14% of the time is one of those first 5 going to be bad. Okay, so this kind of brings up the question, right? Anytime we talk about distribution, we're going to be able to find the expected value or the mean, right? So one reminder, let's go and say that if we're looking for the mean of the variable x, we're also looking for the expected value of x, right? And in this case, what does that mean, right? We're asking for the number of times we would expect it to take to have our first success. All right. And so kind of our intuition is going to be pretty helpful here. If we think about, let's say we're flipping a head. We're not actually flipping like the head, we're flipping a coin, and we want to get a head, right? Yeah, if we flip a head, we're in some serious trouble. Flipping a head, dot, 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 right? So what's the probability of success? 1/2, right? So we would expect, well, how many flips would it take to get at least one? 2, right? We expect 1 to be heads, 1 to be tails. So we would say, in that case, we expect it to be 2. All right, let's talk about what about the one we just did, right? Rolling a 6. Right, the probability of getting 6 was 1 out of 6. So you'd expect it might take what? 6. Right, we'd expect, well, if everything were ideal, we'd have 1 would be a 1, 1 would be a 2, 1 would be a 3, and one of those 6 would be a 6. And so if we're looking at a geometric distribution, then our mean of x is just going to be 1 over p. 1 over p. So like in the example up here, 1 divided by 1/2. It's asking how many halves are there in that 1? There'd be 2. 1 divided by 1/6. Right? How many sixths do you have in 1? You have sixths, and so on. 6, and so on. So it's very straightforward. And we might go into next time kind of algebraically proving that that's true. And then we also, besides the mean, we also want to know variance. Right? How do we find variance of x? And so we probably won't go into, this is one of the things we probably won't algebraically go into. We're just going to state this is what it is. And it's going to be 1 minus p and divided by p squared. All right, so let's find the mean and the variance for an example. So let's say, right, on one of the first 3 examples we already talked about, right, flipping a head, rolling 6, and then we had like making a shot, right? How many shots will it take until we make one? So for this one, for example, right, we'll do making a three-pointer, right? Many times the basketball players have the statistics for their overall field goal percentage, but then they calculate their three-point field goal percentage. Right? So let's say that their shooting percentage is 38%, 0.38 or 38. They're shooting 38% from three-point land. So, right, in words, what is the mean of this distribution telling me? How many times it will take them to do what? Yeah, how many shots it will take to make a three-pointer, right? So that's in words, the number until they make. So in this case, we just said from up above, that's going to be 1 over p. So 1 divided by 0.38. What do we get? Right. And so this is the number of trials. So it's saying it's between 2 and 3 times we should expect them to make their first three-pointer. And then our variance, we do 1 minus p. So 1 minus 0.38 over p squared. Okay, so let's compute that. That's the whole thing. Can you tell me what 0.38 squared is? Just the 0.38 squared? Are you sure 0.38 times 0.38 is how much? Oh, I thought you said 1 point. I'm sorry. Got it. I got it now. Whew. Okay, so then that's the variance. And then what do we do to find the standard deviation? It's different, right? Remember? We just take the square root. That's right. It's about how much? Lots of typing going on. Myra, did you get this? Yeah. So it's telling us that it could vary by a couple shots, right? Maybe they'll make it the first shot. Maybe it'll take 4 or 5 shots, etc. That's what I'm taking. 2.7 shots.